Oh, welcome to the Sharpe Show. So happy to have you with me this evening, a little bit past 7 p.m. on the East Coast. Yes, I did pretty good. Not too shabby, if I do say so myself. And I do. And I wasn't going to do tonight's show. Not this way. I'm sorry. I was going to do a different show. I wasn't going to do the topic that I have for this show. I thought, this is not that big of a deal. Doesn't matter. But of course, Mike Voss reached out to me immediately after this certain thing happened and was like, this was a disaster. You got to talk about this. And I was like, all right, Mike, let me check this out. Maybe Mike's exaggerating. Maybe it's not that big of a deal. And of course, it was the Harris interview on Fox. And I thought, well, maybe Mike's just, mad at Harris. He's just talking trash and it's not real. Maybe that's it. No, it was important. Mike was right. Mike was 100% correct. So I watched it last night. And boy, do I have some things that I want to talk about. There's lots of stuff going on, probably more shows for tomorrow too, and going on. These last couple weeks. Wow. Oh, wow. But if you remember last time when there was a situation like this, it was the Harris-Trump interview. I was anti-Trump. If you remember, I was like, Trump screwed up. His team screwed up. This was a mistake, right? And already. And I was like, no, this is a bad thing, right? He screwed up. And people on the right were like, no, he killed it. No, he killed it. He did great. And I was like, no, he didn't. He lost that debate. And I was anti-Trump on that one. I was being very critical of him. I was. So then this interview came up. Well, I got to say the reverse is true. Harris's team or her, boy, they dropped the ball on this one. They totally did. They either they didn't prep her, option one, or what I think actually happened. I don't know this, but I think it because of how these people think in general, how candidates are going to think. Candidates, I call it the fever. When candidates start thinking that they really are as good as everyone around them is telling them, they start thinking, maybe I am a god. They start thinking those things. And all of a sudden, they start thinking, I don't need this. I don't need this. I don't need that. I can just do it. I'm awesome. And I bet she ignored her team. I don't know that. That's what my gut says. Because her team in the past has been very good. She's had a very good team in the past. So I can't imagine her team dropping the ball. I mean, maybe. They're still human. They might have dropped the ball. Maybe they had hubris. It's possible. Tough. Because she's got a good team. And anybody on her team who would let her go through this, oh my God. So I'm going to go through this. I'm going to show you some of this, and I'm going to show you where she really could have done a whole lot better and just done so many things. And then I'm going to show you some cope. Because remember how I told you Republicans were coping on Trump back in the day? The Harris people are coping on this one. And I'm going to add one more thing. Now I'm 100% sure she should go on Rogan. 100% sure. And I'll tell you why. You might think the opposite. No. I'll tell you why. I'm now 100% sure she should go on Rogan. All right. This is a piece of it. You'll see.
Madam Vice President, thank you for the time.
Thank you. It's good to be with you, Brett.
Voters tell pollsters all over the country and here in Pennsylvania that immigration is one of the key issues that they're looking at this election.
Now, he opens with immigration. And you might say, wait a minute, Larry, this is unfair. He's attacking her on immigration or whatever you might think. Did anyone on her team think that she was not going to use immigration? Did anyone on her team think they weren't going to come at her with immigration? Of course they were. They led with it. Same thing. When more right-leaning people were like, it's not fair. Trump went into that debate and it was 3-on-1. He should have known better. No excuse. He should have known better. Harris walks in and they hammer her immediately over immigration. You should have known better. What were you thinking? You should have been prepared for this, or don't go.
And specifically the influx of illegal immigrants from more than 150 countries. How many illegal immigrants
Look at her closed posture, by the way. Her posture is very closed and defensive. It's not open and inviting at all. It's very closed.
would you estimate your administration has released into the country over the last 3.5 years?
So now he says to her, in case you didn't get that, basically, okay, how many illegals did you let into the country? And she has no answer for this. You have no answer for that? You have no answer for any of these things? You should have an answer for this. And you might go, Larry, she can't have an answer. Of course she can. And she should have. And you can say, well, what's the answer? Okay, if I'm talking to her, right? If I'm coaching her, right? If she's my candidate, she's not. But if she was my candidate, I'm going to say, when they ask you about how many immigrants are in coming in right now, right? How many immigrants are coming in right now? When they ask you that, you got to have an answer. What do you want to say? Do you want to talk about good versus bad? You want to talk about which percentage are legal versus not legal? What do you want to do? She could have easily said, look, they're not all illegal. That's not true. They're asylum seekers. But she could have done that game. There were so many things she could have said, right? We're not sure exactly the percentage, but we are trying to do the right thing on this or that. Whatever. In reality, what she should have done a long time ago is simply said she was sorry. This is what her and Waltz do terribly. They don't just go, you know what? I shouldn't have done that. I'm sorry about that. Done. You could have just, if she would have done this, and again, if I'm advising her, I'd have said this months ago. Look, we made some mistakes early on. We shouldn't have done that. It was a mistake. Now we try to fix it. And then she can blame Trump. And then when we try to fix it, he wouldn't do it. Trump was a bad guy. Once we realized our mistake, Trump, instead of being magnanimous and allowing us to fix our mistake, he was the bad guy. You can still say Orange Man bad. This was repairable months ago. Now you're in trouble. She can't do that now. Is it going to work now? So now she's stuck. But still, play the game, who's real asylum seeker, who's not. There's a way around this. And I'm bothered because whenever I've done this with candidates, and if any of you have been on my teams and you watch and you know what I do, when I play the game, I literally go out of my way to piss off and insult the candidate I'm working with. I'm not joking. This is what I literally do. I piss them off and insult them so they can respond effectively. So they're not shocked when someone like Brett Baer, or I'll do the opposite, when the ABC people, or the worst one was the National Association of Black Journalists, when they attacked Trump, right? Deal with it. It's what you do. And they were not ready at all.
Well, I'm glad you raised the issue of immigration, because I agree with you. It is a topic of discussion that people want to rightly have.
Yep.
And you know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, but
right
do you
now,
just a
which
number?
is-
Do you think it's 1 million, 3 million?
Brett,
Now, people would say, wait a minute, he cut her off. Of course he did. Why? He's only got 20 minutes. That's all he's got. And she was going to go down a road of talking points. I know it. If I was in the same thing, but I would have actually said, I would have said, please, no talking points. That's what I would have said. I would have said, please, no talking points. Please, you do talking points all the time. I would say, please, no talking points. Please just walk down this road with me. And she won't. She'll do talking points. Now, this is where Brett Baer failed. He should have said something like that. Please, no talking points. I know you're talking points. We've heard them. Something like that. That would have broken her for the rest of the interview. Right? So he didn't do that well. So he came across as just being combative versus, please stop with the talking points. We want this to be substantive. And that's where Brett failed.
let's just get to the point. Okay. The point
See, she now tries to sound like I'm getting to the point. He should have done that first.
is that we have a broken immigration system
Yep.
that needs to be repaired.
So
Correct.
the Homeland Security Secretary said that
Well, no, I'm not-
85%
but
of
I'm not
apprehensions.
finished. I'm not finished. We have
It's a
an
rough
immigration
estimate of
system
6 million people
that
have been
needs to be-
released into the country. And let me just finish. I'll get you the question. I promise you.
I was beginning.
And the reason why he cut her off again, he does look bad doing this. And you might go, Larry, it's not fair. It's because he's mansplaining, whatever. I know some of you will be unhappy about things like mansplaining. Some of you, that sounds really bad virtue signaling. Yes, you're right. It is. And it's still a real thing. It's not fair. But when men interrupt women, it does not look good. I've done it too. But when I do it, when I do it, and some of you watch my interviews when I do it, I am overtly aggressive. Right? overtly. Now, Tinkerbell's saying nobody said it was mansplaining. That's not true. If you actually watch the CNNs and MSCs of the world, they actually don't say mansplaining. They say, oh, it's because he interrupted a woman. They don't say the word mansplaining, but they do say that. They do. Now, you might not have. I was saying it because I watched a whole bunch of people talk about this afterwards, and they did bring it up. So and to be forward, he has to be aware of that. And he was. It's about how he put his hand up in her face. He's telling a woman to be quiet. That was brought up in the critiques of this, because of course it would. I get it. And again, this is the part that Brett should have known better. He should know this was going to come up and handle it better. He did not handle it as good as he could. But should he have cut her off? Yes. Yes, he should have cut her off. She was just doing talking points. So, but no, he did screw that part up. To be forward, I'm trying to be fair on both sides if I can.
To answer.
And when you came into office, your administration immediately reversed a number of Trump border policies. Most significantly, the policy that required illegal immigrants to be detained through deportation, either in the U.S. or in Mexico. And you switched that policy. They were released from custody awaiting trial. So instead, included in those were a large number of single men, adult men, who went on to commit heinous crimes. So
now, again, some of you say it's not fair. Some of you say it is fair. My point is, you knew this was coming. Like, if I'm on her team, I'm right there. I would have known this, prepped her for this question. Of course, it's Fox News. What are you thinking? They're anti-immigration 24/7. Clearly, they've been talking about her, calling her border czar 24/7. Clearly, what are you thinking? This is no better than if Trump would have gone to View, right? You know they would just be slow. Wow, you hate women. Of course. They've been talking about abortion. Of course. If Trump goes on The View, he better be ready for this. If she goes on this, she has to be ready for this. And shame on her team or her. And I think this one's her. She thinks she's all of a sudden good. She completely blew this one up.
Looking back, do you regret the decision to terminate Remain in Mexico at the beginning of your administration?
Now, here is the thing that he just said, your administration. This was the genius that no one has picked up. And I mean, I've watched tons of the reviews on this. No one's picked this piece up. The absolute brilliance that Bret Baier has just done here to help out Trump. And what I mean by this is the brilliance. What the Harris team has done so well is make this whole election as if Trump is the president. Like she is the change agent and Trump is the bad guy and she's changed it. And they've done a good job of it. A lot of people have bought 100% into this. Like, yeah, we got to turn the page on Trump, right? That's worked. Like, kudos to her team. But Brett, all he did the entire election, this entire thing was your administration, what you did, your administration, what you did. Nobody else in the media has done this to Harris ever. Now, this part I would get if the team dropped the ball on this aspect. Possibly, I could see that. No one else has done it except for Bret Baier, and he did it masterfully. The entire thing was, no, but you, but it's you. But 3.5 years, but it's you. But you're in charge. Jesus Christ, that was so well done, Brett. This is kudos to him for someone who obviously wants to assist Trump. That was the most powerful piece that he did. Of all the things, that's the most powerful. Because that's the thing that's been making Harris be so good. Her team has spent months, 2 months now, making this she's changing the page from Trump. And he was like, no, it's you. This he did masterfully. I would give him credit. That's his goal. Well done.
At the beginning of our administration.
And she blows right in the beginning of our administration. So she jumps right on board. She doesn't distance herself from Biden at all. Right? At all. She doesn't. At all. She jumps right on board and agrees. Yes, beginning of administration. So now he's turned the narrative.
Within practically hours of taking the oath.
Hold on. Pickerbell says, Bret Baier is helping Trump is hilarious thing to frame as a positive considering the complaints about MSC. No, but they all do it, Pickerbell. I'm not, how do I explain this? If you guys see when I talk about these things, I try my best. Obviously, I have my own biases, right? But I try my best to give people credit for what they're trying to achieve, right? I do not think we're turning a page on Trump with this election at all. I don't think that's true. But I still give credit to the Harris team, who's done that very well. I'll still give credit to it. I'm telling you what I would have told Harris to say. I'm clearly not a Harris supporter, but I would still say what they're trying to do, right? Bret Baier clearly was trying to keep, I mean, some of you think this is not true. Bret Baier's trying to keep Trump happy. There's no doubt that's true, right? He got a lot of pressure, and this was masterfully done. You may disagree with that or not want that to happen, but he was trying to do this thing, and it was done well. I hope that's clearer. I'm not trying to not take a side on this. I'm trying to say this is how politics works. This is what you should be doing, Tinkerbell, if you're sitting here trying to help a candidate in your world, whether that's a mayoral candidate, president candidate, whatever candidate. You should be thinking, how do I get the job done to the best of my ability to make sure my candidate does well? And in this case, Bret did a great job in what he was trying to achieve. I hope that makes sense, Tinkerbell. I'm trying to be. It makes sense to me. I hope it makes sense to you. And if you like what I'm saying, if you like my critique, I'm not saying damn Democrats, damn Republicans. I'm not playing that game. You can go on Fox News and get that. You can go on MSNBC and get that, right? You can get cope from either one of them all day long. I'm trying to give you what they're thinking, what's working, where the failures happened. If you like that, do me a favor. Click the button known as like. That does matter. More people should see this. More people should understand this. More people should get this. How does that work? By you clicking the button known as like, however you decide so. Share this on Twitter or Facebook or wherever you're watching. Just share it. Please do so. If you have not subscribed on YouTube or Facebook, why not? Why do you hate me? What did I do to you? Do it, please. It doesn't matter. You can always super chat me if you want to. Go right to the front. If you're a member, that's awesome. You can become a member on Larry Sharpe YouTube. I will be changing Sharpe, where Sharpe will eventually have membership also. I'm working on that. But right now, Larry Sharpe has membership. If you want to jump on, $4.99 per month. Click that join button. That keeps things going. And I will try to grab members as much as I can up front, as I did Tinkerbell as a member. Thank you for being a member. And I try to grab members to the best of my ability whenever I possibly can, particularly if they seem to have a comment that's very relative right away. So please, if you can do that, it does help tremendously. So, all right, let me keep going if I can. I hope that was clear, by the way.
The first bill that we offered Congress before we worked on infrastructure.
Now, this, by the way, is an amazing talking point, right? I think she should have started with this off the bat. Hey, we cared about it right back, and we did this bill, right? If I'm telling a story, right, to them, and they all of a sudden hit me with this, if I'm helping out Harris, I say you start with this story. We cared before they cared, right? We cared about the border before they cared. So the story, it was already a problem. Trump gave us the problem, right? Start with Trump gave us the problem, and we had to jump through it. You can go back to it's because the bug, the virus, whatever. It's a fine story. Democrats love that story. Tell that story. Democrats go, oh, yeah, I love that story. Boom, tell that story. Go, we tried right away. And then once we couldn't get that done, then things began to fail. And then we made some mistakes. Just say it. We made some mistakes. We thought we were going to get done. We couldn't get it done. And it took us over a year then to kind of find the next answer. And when we found it, that's when evil man Trump came in and wrecked everything. That is a way better story than the stuff she says. And I just made that up this afternoon. I made that story based upon what she says and what everyone says. Her team couldn't make that story up? Stop. You tell that story well. It muddies the water. It's a beautiful way of getting around what Bret is now basically beating her up on. Now, you might go, Larry, why does she care? Look, who is she trying to get here? It's Fox News, right? Who does she want? She wants people who maybe are, say, Nikki Haley voters who are still watching Fox. Or maybe she's looking at maybe the percentage of people watching who are maybe old school Republicans who like the old Bush Cheney days or something like that, right? She's looking for that audience. Okay. Make it easy for them to vote for you then, Harris. Don't make it hard. Give them a story, right? Most people, most Americans, believe it or not, are very forgiving. They really are. As Americans, we are some of the most forgiving people in the world. We forgive people. Say tell the story. Trump screwed everything up before we got there. Democrats love that story. Democrats are like, yeah, Trump ruined everything. Great, Trump ruined everything. You stepped up. You tried to do this bill. It failed. Our fault. We weren't ready for it to fail because we thought it was so critically important. We loved the border so much. And then that's when they made me the guy to figure out how to fix the border issues. Another plan. Took us 2 years to have the plan. Then when we had the plan, then Trump wrecked everything. Now you can use Trump bad and still have a story. Again, I just made that up. That's why I can't think her team. This has to be her failure, not her team's failure.
Before the Inflation Reduction Act, before the Chips and Science Act, before the bipartisan Safer Communities Act, the first bill, practically within hours of taking the oath, was a bill to fix our immigration system.
Great story.
It was called the U.S. Citizenship Act of 2000.
Look at that. He knew what it was. He was more ready than she was. Yes. That great story.
Exactly.
21. It was essentially a pathway to citizenship for the. Yes, ma'am.
May I finish responding, please?
She's not saying I'm talking.
You have to let me finish.
You
please.
had the White House and the House and the Senate,
I'm
and they
in the
didn't
middle
bring up
of
that bill.
responding to the point you're raising,
Okay.
and I'd like to finish.
Yes, ma'am.
We recognized from day one that, to the point of this being your first question, it is a priority for us as a nation and for the American people. And our focus has been on fixing a problem.
Okay, that's not a bad talking point, but you don't have the story and the data behind it. So what does it feel like? It feels like you're either incompetent or lying. That's how this comes across now. If you would have had your story, well, now that validates the story, but you didn't tell a story. Now it's like, yeah, but 3.5 years. It took you that long to figure stuff out? It doesn't work. This does not work.
And from day one, then, we have done a number of things, including to address our asylum system and put more resources, getting more judges, what we needed to do to tighten up penalties and increase penalties for illegal crossings, what we needed to do to deal with points of entry between border entry points. That's the work we did, and we worked on supporting what was a bipartisan effort, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress.
Now, there we go. We throw the conservative member piece in. This is not a bad talking point. It isn't, particularly for Fox News. But again, you didn't tell your story from before. Now, if you would have been savvy, if she really wants to cross over, you tell the story about how a couple of Democrats, decided to not help out. See those bad Democrats. So we cared so much that we went and got Republicans, conservatives. What a better story that is. And I know some of you Republicans now are like, what? Don't say that. But that's a better story. Tell that. And when we had to go across, that took us time. We had to, get the Democrats were mad at us. We had to go across, and now you got a story that somebody might believe. And maybe that 10% that of people who are watching, who are thinking old school, might go, you know what? Maybe she isn't that bad. Maybe, I like Nikki Haley. Maybe I could like her. You might go, Larry, is anyone not now, not with this. But there was a chance she could have got some Fox viewers to make that turn. There are a lot of Fox viewers who aren't with Trump anymore. They would still rather have George W. Bush in. And if that's just 10%, so what? That's all you need. That's all you need. The people who are on Fox News watching this, they vote.
To actually strengthen the border. That border bill would have put 1,500 more border agents at the border, which is why.
Morgan, you bring up a very point. You say you ask a narcissist, sociopath politician to show basic empathy. This is why I say constantly, Harris is she's not a good politician. She's not a good candidate. She's not a good candidate. I mentioned this. If you remember, this was my entire thing. Once she beat Trump in that debate, go back in the basement. You're not a good politician. You're not a good candidate. You're right, Morgan. She does not show empathy well. She doesn't even show power well. Her power almost always seems desperate. Her power seems desperate. She does not project power well. As mad as you might be at Hillary Clinton projected power. It didn't seem desperate. She was like, no, I'm in charge of shit. She did project power well. She struggled with empathy also. Bill Clinton, most empathy ever. I always say it because he did it so well. She doesn't do either well, right? Trump, of course, projects power well. She's a bad candidate. They should have kept her in the basement. I said so. Keep her in the basement, put everybody else, and hope Trump explodes. That would have been the right answer. But they didn't listen to me because she's cool. Now she's got to go on Rogan to fix this.
I believe the Border Patrol agents supported the bill. It would have allowed us to stem the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States, which is a scourge affecting people of every background, every geographic location in our country, killing people.
Now, she's nodding her head, killing people, and people going, yeah, that's your fault.
It would have allowed us to put more resources into prosecuting transnational criminal organizations.
Now, Brett's ready for this, by the way.
Which I have done as the Attorney General, former Attorney General of a border state.
Madam Vice President, a couple of things.
Prosecuted trafficking of drugs, guns, and human.
See, again, this is the point. She's going through her talking points again. This is Brett's problem. Brett should have simply stopped, as I said early on, said, please, ma'am, no talking points. Please, just please answer the question. This way, he could have actually cut her off and said, no, I know you're talking points. You were a prosecutor. We all get it. Like, say that and then move, right? Say that and then move. And that's, he didn't do that. He didn't do that at all.
And Donald Trump, but let me just finish.
Six Democrats voted against that bill.
Learned about that bill and.
Okay, he then goes on to 6 Democrats. That was my point earlier. You tell your story. They screwed us over. We had to rechange. Again, it moves. Exactly right.
Told them to kill it because he preferred to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And in this election, this is rightly a discussion that the American people want to have. And what they want are solutions. And they want a president of the United States who's not playing political games with the issue,
I hear you,
but actually is focused on fixing it.
6 Democrats voted against that bill. It would have allowed 1.8 million illegal immigrants into the country.
So why didn't you throw these 6 Democrats under the bus? Might go, Larry, that's kind of cruel. Yeah, but you're trying to win. Under the bus they go. I'm not even joking. Under the bus they go. These 6 Democrats, well, they screwed me over. What are you going to do, right? Oh, my God, they messed up. They didn't get it. Whatever. Under the bus they go. We had to go get Republicans. That took us 2 years. And then when we finally got it, evil Trump man ruined everything. That's the right story. Didn't use it.
Country a year. A lot of conservatives had a problem with it. These are the 6 Democrats. But more importantly, back to the original premise, Jocelyn Nungari, Rachel Morin, Laken Riley, they are young women who were brutally assaulted and killed.
You didn't know he was going to put this in your face. Of course you had to know. And you have no answer to this either. That's my point.
Some of the men who were released at the beginning of the administration, well before a negotiated bipartisan bill. Former President Clinton actually referred to Laken Riley Sunday campaigning for you in Georgia, saying if those men had been properly vetted, Laken Riley probably would not have been killed. So if it wouldn't have happened, this is well before any negotiation. This is well before Donald Trump got.
Before we go here, Adrian, thank you for being a member. I like what you just said. I appreciate the honesty you just brought up here. And this is my point earlier. Is it my bias, or is the way she talks to the host annoying and demeaning or disrespectful or maybe just unlikable? But for her, I thought she was better than her other interviews. I think we all have a bias, Adrian. I think we all do, right? We all do. And sometimes if you look, the thing that I don't like personally about Harris is she is very often disrespectful. And I think prosecutors in general, most prosecutors are that way. They're disrespectful. They look down on people. I think that's true. And I think she does often. I think people see it. People might go, wait a minute, Larry, does that matter? Likability matters. It just does, right? It just does. If you like somebody, you're more likely to vote for them, keep it. I really think it does matter. And it might be your bias. It might be, right? I'm not saying it isn't. It might be your bias, but that matters. If you're thinking it, others are too. And Garrett Jepson, thank you, Garrett. Yep, it's not just you. I see it too. Garrett agrees with you. And that matters. You've got to be able to project some empathy, right? If he's beating me up like this, I'm gonna actually change. I would change how I would respond if he's beating me up, right? I'm gonna change if he's beating me up. I'm gonna be like, do you just want to yell at me? I'm just saying like that. Do you just want to yell facts at me? Is that what we're about here? And then all of a sudden now he is back. Wait a minute, am I being a bad guy? Do you just want to yell facts at me, or do you want me to answer some of these questions? Now, of course, I would be answering questions. I would just be dodging. I'd be answering questions. So I do think there is a way of handling this better. I think neither one of them did that good, but I get your point. So yes. Garrett says, you're not wrong, Larry. That would partially explain her staff turnover rate. Yeah, it could be. It could be her and her staff's leaving because of that. It could be that. Absolutely.
Involved in the politics. This is a specific policy decision by your administration to release these men into the country.
Now, brilliant. He goes, your administration. And no one catches that. No one catches that. Okay, so Larry, so how do you get around that? Easy, by going, look, I supported many things. I tried my best, but I was one person in the administration. That's how you can defend yourself and push yourself away from Biden, right? I got a lot of things that I like done, and explain the things you got done, whatever you're happy about. Say that. I was able to push this and push that. Certain things I couldn't convince the president to do. All of a sudden, now you've distanced yourself. You've distanced yourself. And you've done it, and that makes sense. Versus going, please stop saying, this is what she should, my administration starts in January, right? My administration starts in January. You're talking about Biden's administration. He's not here, right? Did I do what I could? I did. And then go through the list and have some mea culpas. And his whole argument goes away if you do that. If you do that, his whole argument goes away. And how would we know? And they're all going to say yes anyway. You might say to yourself, well, Larry, why has she been so good to the Biden administration? This is an important reason why. Some of you might not know this, but her transition team leader is the same transition team leader that Biden used. Why? Why would she do that? Because she wants to make sure there's no sabotage from the White House. All these people want to keep their jobs. And they know that if she comes aboard, she may lose a bunch of jobs. They may lose their jobs. In which case, why would they care about her? They might even sabotage her. They're going to be looking for jobs with the Trump administration. I'm not even joking. These people will swap in 5 seconds. They'll swap. They might be looking at jobs someplace else. She wants to make sure her people all know, no. Same transition person. You're here. It's all good. So she can't be too anti-Biden. But to say that you couldn't get everything you wanted done is not anti-Biden. It's just you're different than Biden. And she hasn't used that. That should have been her talk literally months ago. Again, why aren't you doing that? This part's an error for her team, I think. That's just my guess, right? That's just my guess on this one. So let me keep going.
So what I'm saying to you, do you owe
Brett,
those families an apology?
Let me just say, first of all, those are tragic cases. There's no question about that. There's no question about that. And I can't imagine the pain that the families of those victims have experienced for a loss that should not have occurred. So that is true. It is also true that if a border security had actually been passed 9 months ago, it would be 9 months that we would have had more border agents at the border, more support for the.
She's not wrong on this. Again, but the story doesn't matter because she's going to go back. Well, what about 3 years ago? That's 9 months ago. What about 3 years ago? You've got to have that gap covered, which she didn't cover.
Folks who are working around the clock, trying to hold it all together.
Madam Vice President.
To ensure that no future harm would occur. And this election in 20 days will determine whether we have a president of the United States who actually cares more about fixing a problem, even if it is not to their political advantage in an election, because there was a solution, Brett.
Madam Vice President, it was a policy decision in the early part of your administration. I will let.
Look how good he's. Jesus, he's just, yeah. So Pinkerbell says, thank you for being a member, Pinkerbell. Of course she does that, calls him out for how he's speaking to her. Then she looks weak and like she's complaining about the tone because she can't hack it. This really isn't a situation for her. There's some truth to that, Pinkerbell, but if that's true, why didn't her team use an overbearing male, whoever, gotta hope she has males on her team, right? An overbearing male on her team to act as Brett Baer and then be overwhelming to her and then her to find, literally just go back and Pinkerbell, if you were my client, I'm working with you, and you are my candidate. I'm going to put you in a chair like that and I'm going to be a jerk to you. And you're going to find a way to push back against me that works for you. And we're not leaving until you figure out a way to shut me up. That everyone around goes, that worked. Yep, that worked. Literally, and there'll be other people around watching. Think about it, didn't work. Okay, do it again, one more time. And I'm going to be a jerk to you. And you're like, until you find the thing that you feel comfortable doing, because you have to feel comfortable. And the team goes, that works. Okay, if he's a jerk, you can do that thing. And we practice that. And that may sound terrible. That's how she did it for the debate. That's why it went so well. You're not wrong. This is a tough spot for her to be in. I'm not saying you're wrong. And the male-female dynamic culturally does matter. Some people don't like that, but it does matter culturally. It just does. So you got to find that back and forth. That's scenario training. And her team should have done that. And if Pinkerbell, if it was you, if you're running for something and I'm helping you out, I'm going to be that jerk in front of you, saying stuff, interrupting you until you figure out how to shut me down in a way that you feel comfortable, that works well. And that might be 10 minutes. That might be 2 hours. But we're not leaving until you find a way to show your strength and to show your empathy in a way that makes sense for you, that shuts me down. And they should have done that. So your point's a valid one. My issue is, why didn't her team fix it? Why didn't her team fix it? That is my issue, right? That's my problem with this.
One of the mothers talk about it. Take a listen.
Because of the Biden-Harris administration open border policies catch and release, they were enrolled in the Alternatives to Detention program. This meant that they were released into the United States. It was not even a full 3 weeks later that they would take my daughter, Jocelyn Nungare's life. I believe the Biden-Harris administration open border policies are responsible for the death of my daughter.
That's the early days.
Now, look, he is like, you got to answer this damn question. And she looks right now so nonchalant and so not caring, still with her closed posture. Why weren't they helping her with her posture? Open your posture. Just mea culpa right now, right? It's fine. The world's not going to end, but she can't. She won't. She can't. The AC, great point. Bernie and Sinema are actually Democrats. True. You're not wrong. True. She didn't even say that. I throw them on the bus anyway. Throw them under the bus. Who cares? Yes. Yeah. Anyway.
So do you owe them an apology is what I'm saying.
I will tell you that I am so sorry for her loss. I'm so sorry for her loss. Sincerely.
The problem you can see is when she says she's so sorry for her loss, she's nodding her head no. I immediately noticed that. She's nodding her head no. Let me go back so you can see that. She's literally nodding her head no.
An apology is what I'm saying.
I will tell you
See?
that I'm
nodding her head no. Like, I'm not going to apologize. I'm not apologizing for that. I'm not taking responsibility for that. That's what she's actually saying. I'm taking responsibility for that. That piece is very tough. So yes. Proud Vet, how are you, sir? Hold on. It's Proud Vet. Sorry, wrong one. Larry, you were right on in the debate. Trump was the incumbent responsible for everything. She left the interview as an out of touch incumbent. Correct. Yes. Thank you. Yes. And no one, I didn't see anybody, and I watched it, but nobody said that. Nobody went, man, Brett made her the incumbent. He did. Brett made her the incumbent. She wasn't. Before this interview, she was not. Trump was the incumbent. She was turning the page on Trump. Remember? She was. Now, all of a sudden, it's her administration, and she fell right into it. She fell right into it. Yes.
sorry for her loss. I'm so sorry for her loss.
Why you not know?
Sincerely. But let's talk about
But
what is happening right now.
but's an eraser. But is an eraser. I like you, but I don't really like you. I love you, but I don't really love you. Right? I don't want to be a jerk, but I'm going to be a jerk. So I'm so sorry, but I'm not sorry.
With an individual who does not want to participate in solutions.
I'm so sorry, but Trump is bad. Not the right answer.
Talk about that.
Okay, look, if you're going to do that, if you are, okay, if you're going to blame Trump for this, you have to blatantly blame Trump for this. And I know some of you Trump are supposed to be mad at me if I say that, but that's the only answer. You have to go, I'm so sorry. And this is Trump's fault because of what he did, blah, 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 right? Then at least you got a shot at making something happen. You can't just go, but Trump bad. If you're going to go down Trump bad, you have to triple down on it. You've got to blame him directly for this somehow. I'm not sure how you do that, but you find that answer. Or you don't do it. Or you don't do it. What she did was exactly wrong. You either don't bring up, but Trump bad, or and it's his fault. Here's why it's his fault. And you go back to lockdowns. You locked it down and made everything bad, whatever. Go there, whatever. Blame Trump directly for it. If you blame Trump directly for it, you know what happens? All of a sudden that becomes a talking point. Whose fault was it? Was it Trump's or hers? Just blame Trump. Say it's his fault. Those women are dead because of Trump. He did it. And here's the reason why. That's better than what she just did. Better than what she just did. Shelley, thank you for this point. You made it perfectly. I have a lot of respect for people who can admit they were wrong. So naturally, I have little respect for her and zero respect for Hillary. Anyone notice they have distanced Kamala and Hillary? Yeah, Yes. Yes, absolutely. This part is, yeah. And oh, you're all seeing it. Pete says she seems anything but sincere. Right. Yes. 100%. That's a big issue. Absolutely. So, all righty. Alexa, how are you? I'm glad you made it today. Thank you for being a member. Not a Trump fan, but her 80 pages, but her site 80 pages of her policy, yet 900 pages of what she says is Trump's Project 2025. Plus inserting it between every fifth policy of hers. That's petty and shows her priorities. Yeah. She's not doing well. Yeah, absolutely. So let me grab a couple of these. One more, if I can. I do like this one, Phil. Phil says there's no overwhelming male on her team. Well, you better get one. You better get an overbearing male on a team because it's going to be overbearing men asking you questions. You need to know how to deal with these guys, right? Whatever the issue is. And to be forward, I think Pinkerbell has a very valid point. It's not good. It's not easy. Great. Find an answer. Great. Find an answer. That is my answer. You've got to find an answer. And you got to be yourself. And that might take time. That might take days. I don't care. Either way, it's got to work. It's got to work either way. So, yes. Mike Voss, how are you, sir? At Larry Sharpe, can anyone imagine someone facing down Chairman Xi or Putin, the Ayatollah? She is far too petulant and indignant for international politics. Ask South Korea what to think of her. Well, I think if she does it, right, if she actually wins, and I don't think it's a done deal yet. I know, Mike, you've already decided Trump's winning. With 312 was your answer. I'm not there yet. I think she's still winnable for her. If she wins this thing, I hope she'll use others to go do that work and she'll just show up and smile. That's my hope. That's all I can say. So, yes. Proud Vet says, I got an idea. Try having answered the question you know you're coming. Yes! Proud Vet. Yes! This is literally my point. Yes, that's what prep is. That's literally what debate prep, interview prep is. Having answers ready for questions you know are going to come. You weren't ready for the border? I would have spent at least a full day, if not 2 days on the border. Maybe 2 days on the border. At least. You know they're going to hit you with the border. This is no surprise. My God, he went on Fox talking about the border. Duh. Thank you, the unwashed sword. Sorry. I'm tired, Pa. Can this cycle be over yet? We got about 3 weeks left, but yeah, it's almost over. It's almost over. But yes, soon, son, soon.
Well,
But do you
Brett,
want to answer
in all
her?
fairness,
Thank you for the super chat, by the way.
I feel awful for what she and her family have experienced.
Then why are you mad?
During that time, you said repeatedly that the border was secure. When in your mind did it start becoming a crisis?
Now, again, see, I told you the story to tell minutes ago. You can, if you tell the right story, you can say, we knew it was immediately. You blame Trump for it. It's all his fault. He did all the bad stuff. And then we had to come in and fix it with our awesome, cool plan that these 6 Democrats screwed us over. What a great story to tell, right? Then this question becomes moot, right? I told you, we thought right away. Then these 6 Democrats screwed us over. We'd have jumped through to try to get Republicans to jump on board. They didn't want to because they were scared of Trump because Trump's the bad guy. He ruins everything. And then we finally got one going. Trump blew it for us. Boom. These questions go away. You've got a story. And you still get to blame Trump. You still get to blame Trump. But she didn't do any of that. What was her team thinking? I'm going to blame her and her team. Both. She can't do anything now.
I think we've had a broken immigration system transcending, by the way, Donald Trump's administration even before.
So Obama sucked too. She just said that. Oh, so Obama sucked and Trump sucked. They all sucked. Which, to be forward, if you started that earlier, you actually could have played that game. You could even throw Trump under the bus because he made that dumb thing with the black man. So you throw him under the bus too. Throw the ball under the bus. But she has no answer.
Let's all be honest about that. I have no pride in saying that this is a perfect immigration system. I've been clear, I think we all are, that it needs to be fixed. We need more. I was just down at the border talking with border agents, and they will tell you, and I'm sure you probably, I know you investigate and you are a serious journalist. They will tell you, we need more judges. We need to process those cases faster. We need this support.
Now, this piece, she blew. because we need more judges to process cases. Now, wait a minute. Are you saying they're asylum seekers or not? Now, you all know I am not a fan of Eric Adams. You all know I'm not. However, he's smart. He never calls them illegal aliens. He never calls them migrants. He calls them asylum seekers. That's the right rhetoric, right? That's the right rhetoric to use. He knows that. So, by the way, there's my governor, Kathy Hochul. Same thing. She says they're asylum seekers. So now if someone says, oh, they're illegals, no, they're not. No, they're not. And now you can throw the race card at them. See, it's because you're racist, Brett. They're not that. You can throw the race card. Right? So now she can't use the race card because she's agreed it's her administration and she's agreed they're illegal immigrants or illegal aliens. She's agreed with all his language. All the way he boxed it, she agreed. She should have fought back and said, no, they're not. That was my entire point earlier. If you say we have to figure out how to get the people who aren't illegal, the people who are, we have to figure out who's asylum seeker, who's not. She could have, none of them. Like, what was she thinking? She has allowed everything to just fail. This was a bad showing for her. Again, she had so many opportunities to turn this around, and she did not at any time. She failed. I could have done a better one, and I'm not even a Democrat, and I could have done a better one than her. She could throw me in front of Brett Baer. I would have been a better surrogate. Some of you know I've been a surrogate a couple times. I was a surrogate for Gary Johnson in 2016 and a surrogate for RFK Jr. in this year. I've been a surrogate. I've been on these shows. I've done these interviews. I still do. I do these interviews and I go on these shows. They ask me questions like this. Yes. You have to be able to answer them and deal with them. If I can do it as a surrogate, you can do it too. This is terrible.
For those cases that should be prosecuted. They need more resources, and Congress ultimately is the only place that's going to get fixed, Brett. Well, that's how this system works.
That's the premise of this question. There were 90 plus executive orders that were rescinded in the first day.
He was ready for this one, and the story goes away.
Many of those were Trump border policies. I'm not going to stay here.
Now, how do you deal with that piece, right? How do you deal with that? What you do is you do the same thing that Trump said, right? Trump talks about, oh, so good getting rid of the Roe v. Wade, right? Because it was a bad law and we had to fix it, put the states, right? That's what he always says. She should say the same thing. Those executive orders were executive orders. And we shouldn't have done this to executive order. We should have done it to Congress. And we thought we could have. And here's why, right? And here's why we tried to, whatever. And these 6 Democrats screwed up and we said to go because it has to be done that way. Now, she doesn't actually believe any of that. I'm just telling you, she doesn't. She would executive order anything. But she doesn't care about truth anyway. So if you don't care about truth anyway, just say that. The story would absolutely work better. And then he shut down. But she fell into everything. And that's the problem. She fell into everything. She did not do the right thing. So, yes. All righty. So if I grab a couple more of these real fast from you guys. I do appreciate some of the things that you guys have been saying here. I'm trying to grab them. They do bounce back so fast. Marcel says, I love you, Larry. Keep throwing truth at him. I appreciate that. I'm trying my best. I want you guys to be able to look at these interviews and understand what they're actually saying, right? That, yes. Garrett, thank you for being a member, my friend. This interview plus turning down Time Magazine and Bloomberg was a severe miscalculation by our campaign. I'm with you. The going on Fox was a good idea, to be forward. It was. Going there not prepared, thinking you can beat up Brett Baer, that was dumb. That was dumb. Look, the campaign is worried. This is a very tight race. She could easily lose this thing. And at the moment, it looks like she's going to lose right now. Now, that could change next week. Last 2 weeks ago, I was thinking she was going to win. Now, it looks like she's going to lose. A week from now, it could change again. Her team knows that she's in trouble. You gamble when you're losing, not when you're winning. When you're winning, status quo, I'm winning. When I'm losing, roll the dice. This was a smart move when you know you could be losing. The problem is, why do you walk into an ambush not ready to go? That's my issue again. Why do you walk in not ready to go? So, yes, that's my issue. You've got to be able to deal with this issue. So, anyway, let me keep grinding. Kim goes on. Thank you for being a member, Kim. It was painful for me to watch the interview. Too much lettuce, not enough mushrooms, tomatoes, cheese, and bacon. I had to stop it more than once. I was actually teasing. I actually texted Mike. Michael, I actually texted Mike while I was watching it. I was like, oh my God, this is painful. I told myself I'm going to book it. It was painful. I couldn't watch it straight on. I had to stop, relax, and then do again. Stop, and then relax, and do it again. It was, yeah, absolutely. So I'm with you, Kim. I had the same issue. Same issue. I literally had to text Mike. Oh my God, it's terrible. So anyway, by the way, blame Mike. If you don't like this, Mike's fault. He's going to tell me to do this. If you like this, give Mike a kudos. It was his idea. So, and I'm glad I did it. He was right. Mike, you're right. I know I don't always tell you you're right, but you were right. This was a good one to do. And I'm glad I did it. By the way, guys, click the button as like. It does matter. If you watch on Twitter or Facebook, please reshare this. It does matter. Share this again. Repost this. Everyone does matter. If you haven't either followed me on Facebook or followed me on Twitter or subscribed to my YouTube page, please do so. Every single subscription matters. It moves everything forward. Please do so. If you want to super chat me, you can. Larry Sharpe super chat. Chats go right to the front. I grab those as fast as I can. Other people, try grabbing to the best of my ability on members. If you want to become a member, you can on the Larry Sharpe YouTube page. You can have a join. Click that button. $5 a month. Keeps this going. I do more and more of this. I've been trying to do shows at least daily. Today I did 2 shows. So I try to do more shows daily. I'll be doing another show again tomorrow. So I am trying to keep going to the best of my ability. If you guys can help out, every little bit counts.
Here, because there's other things to talk about, but you frequently talk to the Border Patrol Union for support of that bipartisan bill, and they did. They supported it. But they also just endorsed Donald Trump and said, you've been, quote, a failure with border security. Why do you think they said that?
Now, you're not ready for this? You're not ready for this? You're not ready for that question? They don't support you? They say you've been bad? Of course. So, love my canine. I love canines too. Did the MSM port this as Harris win? Just curious. Yes, I'm going to show you, and not even just the mainstream. All left-wing media was like, this was the greatest thing she's ever done. I will show you afterwards a little bit of that. Literally saying she did a great job. She was wonderful. Oh my God. Great job. Wonderful. All that stuff. It was crazy. Yes. So Len thinks I'm an idiot. Maybe, but I'm a good-looking idiot, Len. So that matters more than anything else. I am good looking. So that does count. Unwashed Sword asks how to become a member. If you go to Larry Sharpe, not the Sharpe way. The Sharpe way will be monetized probably by next week. But Larry Sharpe is monetized. You go to Larry Sharpe YouTube page, click the join button. It's right there. If you see it, that's how you would do it. So I hope that was clear. So Shelly says, if I'd watched this alone, it would have been anxiety producing. But I watched it in a black men watch party. Ooh. Oh, wow. I wish I'd done that. Shelly, that's amazing. And they were hysterical and serious, going from one to other seamlessly. You know what? I should have done that. That's good. You know, I should have watched it with Mike. I should have. That would have been, by default, been a black man watch party. Me and Mike. That would have actually worked. So maybe I should have done that. Okay. I got to think about that. Yes. There we go. All right. That's a good one.
I think they're frustrated, and I get it. They want support. They want support, and that's what that border security bill would have done. These guys down at the border, these men and women, they're working hard.
Hold on. Len, no worries. I've been insulted before. I still love you, brother. Even if you think I'm an idiot. You can still watch. I still love you. All good. It's all good. No worries. I've been insulted far worse. And I am, by the way, still good looking. So does still work. Either way.
They're working around the clock. I get it.
There's a lot of people that look back at what you said in 2019 when you first ran for president. And there have been changes, and you've talked about some of them. When it comes to immigration, you supported allowing immigrants in the country illegally to apply for driver's license, to qualify for free tuition at universities, to be enrolled in free health care. Do you still support those things?
Listen, that was 5.
Now, this piece is where she has screwed up. This is the same as this is the same. This what she's doing now is the same as JD Vance not answering the election question, which is terrible. JD Vance, answer the damn question. Just triple down and go, no, he didn't. It was bad, whatever. Or yes, he did. Can we end? Just answer the damn question. And she won't. Look, the reality of it is and this is a mistake. Clinton taught Democrats how to move to the center. He was the master at moving to the center. He basically said, who are you going to vote for? Bush? Stop. I'll move to the middle, and that's just what it is. I made mistakes. It's what it is. Or You jump down and you become Bernie Sanders and go, yes, I am all about the more left-leaning policies. So what she should have done is one of two things. One said, yes, we should get them all the things and give them all the freebies. Option one, double down. That's who you are. All the freebies, yes. Okay, at least that we know where you stand. And people who are more left-leaning go, I've been waiting to hear you say that forever. Maybe some people who vote for Jill Stein might turn over and go, wait a minute, okay. Maybe you got some left-leaning stuff I like. You gained some more of the far left people to come over towards you. Good deal. Or, no, I've changed. Here's why. You get nothing free. Okay, maybe some Nikki Haley people go, okay, maybe it's worth it. Maybe I can vote for her. She did exactly the worst. Neither. When you've had policies that are risky or bad from the past, either double down on them or say you no longer believe them. Either one, and explain how you got there. Now, she also has a way out of this, which she doesn't use. Here is the way out of it. Those policies seemed great. They did. I believed them. Then I got into the White House, and I actually saw how they affected people and behind the scenes. And that's when I realized, no, we can't do that. Perfect answer. Yeah, 2018, I was talking all that stuff. I thought it was the right answer. I agreed. That's why I said it, because I believed it. Of course I did. Then I got into the White House, and I started thinking about pushing these issues. Then I saw what happens, how it actually works. And you know what? No, I've changed my mind. That experience changed my mind. Boom! Question answered. Brett Baer done. All the reverses I said. No, I 100% believe in them. Yes, we should do it. Of course, it's because of my values. I'm a Democrat or whatever. Either one works. Here's what she does.
5 years ago, and I'm very clear that I will follow the law. I have made that statement over and over again. And as Vice President of the United States, that's exactly what I've done, not to mention before.
I follow the law. Okay. When you're president, you have some say in the law on what you enforce and what you don't, and how you enforce it. And also, you often present bills that you want to have laws passed. This is a non-answer, and it's embarrassing. And it's a critical thing for people. Absolutely critical. So, yes.
If that's the case, you chose a running mate, Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, who signed those very things into state law.
And you didn't think that they would bring up your boy Walz. Now, here's the issue. For those who don't know, Walz, for many people in the Democratic Party who lean further left, for Democrats who lean further left, Walz was a dream pick. They were very happy with him because while she has no actual center, Walz does. Walz actually does believe further left than she is. She actually isn't far left. They always say she actually isn't. She is whatever gets her elected. Walz is a true believer. He actually is further left than she is, 100%. One of two things. You say 100% yes. That's why I picked Walz. I believe these things. Yes, yes, and yes. Option one, you double down. Or option two, yes, look, I want someone like him in my administration. I want to respect the left side of my party. I have changed my views. I think Walz, once he's in the White House, would also change his views. Boom! Answered. And I spent 5 minutes, and I have an answer for this. What's her answer? Closed off. Look at her. Closed off. I follow the law. Terrible answer.
So do you support that?
We are very clear. And
we're very clear that we will support the law.
I am very clear, as is Tim Walz, that we must support and enforce federal law, and that is exactly what we will do.
Nothing.
So decriminalizing border crossings, like you said in 2019.
I do not believe in decriminalizing border crossings, and I've not done that as vice president. I will not do that as president.
So these are evolutions that you've had.
But let's be very clear.
Look, he literally gives her this. These are evolutions you've had. I mean, he gives it to her. Say yes or say no. Either of those work. You have a good story out there. Look, if she honestly believes it, just say it. There's a lot of people in the Democratic Party, particularly those who lean left, who would be like, yay, thank you for supporting us. Oh my God, maybe I'm not going to vote for Jill Stein. Maybe I'll vote for you. You'll gain some further, or people who does further left Democrats are like, I'm not going to bother voting, who cares? You would have gotten some of them. or the reverse. No, I've changed. Yes, I have evolved. It was my 3 years in the White House. They made me rethink things. And again, Nikki Haley people, oh, okay, maybe I'll grab a couple. She's literally grabbing no one. She's getting nobody.
I'm the only person who's running for president who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations, from the Sinaloa cartel to the Guadalajara cartel, to people who have trafficked in guns, drugs, and human beings. I have spent a significant part of my career going after people who present a threat to the safety of the American people.
Because you follow the law, I know.
And cross our border with the...
Kim, thank you for being a member. I appreciate that. She says she's not a good candidate, not a good politician, and not a good empathizer, not even a good liar. I say this all the time. She has a good team, which failed her, or she failed the team, one of the two. Her team's not a bad team. In certain instances, her team's better than Trump's, depending upon how you look at that. She's got a very good team. She's a terrible candidate. She just is. She's a terrible candidate. The only reason why she's even close to Trump is because her team's that good. She's a terrible candidate, right? Trump can be a terrible candidate too when he gets in his own way. He also can be a terrible candidate when he gets in his own way. But Trump is a better candidate in many ways. He also has an instinct that she does not have. If you work with candidates, some candidates have a very good instinct. They kind of know where they should go, what road they should walk down. They're good at. Some people just know natural at that. Trump is much better at that. I mean, by magnitudes better than she is at this. She's not good at that. Clinton, amazing. Another great one of the Reagan. If I'm so you're old enough, Reagan knew exactly where to go. I mean, the instinct that guy had. Reagan was an amazing candidate, amazing politician. He knew exactly where to go. Believe it or not, Biden wasn't that bad. He was okay. He was okay, depending on where he was. He was a gaffe machine was his problem, but he was always able to be folksy back when he was competent. Well, I don't know if the word's competent. Back when he was lucent, maybe it's a better word. He was actually able to be more folksy and get around things sometimes. She doesn't do any of that well, like none of it well. I'm surprised how bad she is at this. She's just bad at it. It's just true. So yes. All right.
Intent of doing us harm and cross our border illegally. And I will do that work as vice president. I take that work quite seriously.
This is a time when voters, especially here in Pennsylvania, are inundated with commercials and ads.
Yep.
They just want it to stop because it's every commercial. But many of them add noise, but a few of them seem to break through. This particular one from the Trump campaign has gotten a lot of attention.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners. Every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
Now, you didn't think they were going to use that one? You didn't have an answer for that one, right? And again, there's only two ways of fixing this. Only two. One, you double down. 100%. I support transgender people no matter what, any circumstances. Just because you're a prisoner doesn't mean you're not transgender. But just double down. Yes, 100%. I'm in. Yes. Man, how many people who are on the further left will be like, yes, it's my president. They're all rushing to you. 100%. You gain some. That works. Or the reverse. I used to think that. I absolutely did. Then after this, I saw this and that, and I realized, you know what? No, that's not going to work. I've changed. Either one works. What does she do? The worst.
So are you still in support of using taxpayer dollars to help prison inmates or detained illegal aliens to transition to another gender?
I will follow the law.
There we go. No answer. I will not answer that question. She made everybody angry here. So if you're a transgender activist and you think this is a wonderful idea, you're like, does that mean yes or no? Did she just turn right on me? Did she just become a Republican on me? What did she do? I can't tell. If you're a Nikki Haley fan, whoa, okay, so she's going to transgender everybody or not? What? Right? Either way, she made everybody angry. The worst answer. Pick one. Pick one. Just people would respect you more if you just said either one of them. Just do it.
And it's a law that Donald Trump actually followed. You're probably familiar with, now it's a public report, that under Donald Trump's administration, these surgeries were...
Picabelle, you read this perfectly. She allowed herself to get thrown off right away and can't recover. A fumble fest. Same thing happened to Trump in that debate. Trump got thrown off the bat and never recovered. Same thing. And again, imagine if instead she had an idiot like me, hooping and hollering at her, being like this, until she learned how to control me, then she would have easily bounced back from this because I would have been a jerk, being like, well, rah, 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 rah. She's like, okay, Larry, let me tell you how I shut you up. She'd have her way of doing it, put me in my place, had the right story. None of this happens. It's a different interview. It's a different interview. In fact, you would have had Republicans having cope. Instead, you got Democrats having cope now. Yes, I completely agree. She got us up thrown off, and that was it.
Available to on a medical necessity basis to people in the federal prison system. And I think, frankly, that ad from the Trump campaign is a little bit of like throwing, stones when you're living in a glass house.
The Trump aides say that he never advocated.
Now, this piece, he was ready for this, by the way. You can say that, but only if you take a position, right? So if she takes a position of support it no matter what, I support drenching the people in every case, blah, blah. And so did Trump. Trump's acting like he didn't support it. He's just like me. Works perfectly. Or the reverse. I've changed my mind, right? I get it. Now, blah, blah. Trump still supports it. I'm more right than he is. Either way, that works. But she didn't take a stance, so now Brett can do this. It's almost as if he knew she was going to be incompetent.
For that prison policy and no gender transition surgeries
you know what? You got to take responsible for what happened in your administration.
Yeah, no surgeries happened in his presidency.
It's in black and white.
Would you still advocate for using taxpayer dollars for gender reassessment surgeries?
I will follow the law, just as I think Donald Trump would say he did.
You would have a say as president.
Like I said, I think it's he spent $20 million on those ads, trying to create a sense of fear in the voters because he actually has.
Okay, so he spent $20 million on ads, and you were not ready for that question. Right? I'm just being clear. He spent $20 million on ads, you know that, and you're not ready for this question. I don't know who looks worse. You should be ready for this question. That's all. Joel says, Biden tried to give us some Reagan-esque humorous stories, and then botched the punchlines every time. Often true, but there was something that people liked about him back in the day. Like now, he doesn't have that anymore. But you go back 20 years, you go back Obama era even. He would screw things up and people would laugh. So it still kind of worked. That made any sense. Like we knew he was like, oh, it's Gaffy Joe. It kind of worked. Now it doesn't. So yes. Love my canine. Thank you for being a member. I appreciate it. I live in a very blue area. The amount of support for her is scary. This is what I'm saying. This isn't over. I live in New York City. I live in Queens. There's a lot of support for her. Most of my neighbors absolutely support her. I mean, 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 totally support her. Why? They really hate Trump. I mean, they really hate Trump. They do. So, yes, I'm with you. Love my canine. I get it completely. I see it. I get it. It's absolutely true. Yes. So, the AC talking to Pinky says, I don't know if she's uncoachable or she has a bad team. Unless her team has left. I know there's been turnover. So there may be some turnover here. It's possible. But her team in the past has done a very good job. I feel like she, as I said before, she got the fever. She thinks she's the coolest kid in the world. She don't need anybody anymore. She's got this. And this is what you get. And I'll say the next piece. I think we need to have better teams for our candidates if they'll actually listen. What I mean by that is teams don't often realize, I recognize it. A lot of teams don't recognize when the candidates got the fever because it's hard to deal with them when they have the fever. And they'll fire you because they're not going to need you. It's hard. We need to be training as consultants ourselves on how to handle when they get the fever. And that can't be easy. Because once she thinks she's better than you, and it's not just her, I'm be clear, I think it's her this time. Others get it too. They won't listen anymore. They know everything. So, yeah. Anyway. Kinsuki, good to see you. Love my canine. I see a lot of support for her in North Carolina. Yes, it's everywhere. It's just because you have a bad debate doesn't mean all of a sudden the world ends, right? So she might, I think Trump gets a bump from this completely, just like she got a bump from the debate, but that went away. Trump's going to get a bump from this for sure. Now, will it go away? I don't know. Michael, I love your point. I'll follow the law. Right or wrong, I don't care. Right or wrong, doesn't matter. All right.
There's no plan in this election that is about focusing on the needs of the American people. Whereas at $20 million on that ad, on an issue that, as it relates to the biggest issues that affect the American people, it's really quite remote. And again, his policy was no different. Look at where we are, though.
They say
On
it was
plans for
different,
the
but
American
we'll move
people,
on.
I'm offering a plan to deal with affordable housing. I'm offering a plan to deal with what we need to do to strengthen small businesses, which are the backbone of
Here
America's
comes
economy.
the talking
I am
points.
offering a plan that is about taking care of young parents and giving them the support they need. My
Talking points
plans for
again.
the economy will strengthen the economy, as have been reviewed by 16 Nobel laureates, Goldman Sachs, Moody's, and recently the Wall Street Journal, which have all studied our plans and have indicated my plans for our economy would strengthen our economy, his would make them weaker,
Why do you
would
think more
ignite
people
inflation and invite a recession by the middle of next year. Those are the facts.
Why do you think more people say they trust him on the economy than they trust you?
I think that when you look at an analysis of our plans for what we would do as president.
Doesn't ask that question at all. Becky Lee says, Larry, I got here late. Did y'all talk about her body language? I did. Crossing her legs and crossing her arms. Yep. I did. I brought it up. I did. Absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up.
Of the United States. It has been clear to those who study and understand how economic policy works that moving forward, because I do believe the American people are ready to turn the page on the divisiveness and the type of rhetoric that has come out of Donald Trump. People are ready to chart a new way forward, and they want a president who has a plan for the future and a plan that is sound and will strengthen our country. My plan for the economy does exactly that. His plan would be, again, to give tax cuts to billionaires and the biggest corporations in our country and blow up our deficit.
It's interesting you said turn the page, Madam Vice President.
Deficit. You hear that? Deficit? Deficit? At least she talked about it. A little something, I guess. I think she means debt, but that's fine. Something at least. A little bit. She doesn't mean it, of course.
President, you were asked on 2 different shows last week what, if anything, you would do differently than President Biden. Here's what you said.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
Under a Harris administration, what would the major changes be and what would stay the same?
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm obviously not Joe Biden.
I know.
And so that would be one change in terms of, but also I think it's important to
That was literally just identity politics.
say with, 28 days to go, I'm not Donald Trump.
So you're not Joe Biden, you're not Donald Trump, but nothing comes to mind that you would do differently?
Let me be very clear.
Oh,
My
no, she didn't say.
presidency will not be a continuation of Joe Biden's presidency. And
That
like
wasn't clear at all.
every new president that comes in to office, I will bring.
Remember what I said earlier. Tell a story correctly. And then what happens? Well, you tell a story early correctly. You say my presidency starts January of next year. That's how you make that work. She did not do that at all. Raza says, I'm so glad she's not in her team, Larry. Well, yeah, I don't get enough teams. That's my issue. I don't get enough. Not enough people believe I'm right, even though I document everything I say. I'm right all the time. Not all the time. Most of the time. And just, they don't want to document it. It is what it is. What are you going to do? I have to keep trying. I have to keep going. That's absolutely. So Jennifer says, I'm in Philly. Every Dem voter will vote for her. They wouldn't vote for any Republican, though. If it was DeSantis, they hate him too. Yeah, that's also true. I agree. I agree with that. Yes, it's very true. A lot of people really just don't like Republicans, period. I agree.
My life experiences, my professional experiences, and fresh and new ideas. I represent a new generation of leadership. I, for example, am someone who has not spent the majority of my career in Washington, D.C. I invite ideas, whether it be from the Republicans who are supporting me, who were just on stage with me minutes ago, and the business sector, and others who.
So now you're moving towards Republicans in business sector. All right. Not a bad move on Fox. That part's not a bad move. Okay, I like that. But then you got a bunch of Democrats going, whoa, sorry, Democrats like that. A bunch of left-leaning Democrats, more lefties, that type, who go, wait, what? What? Republicans? What? Business? What? I thought you were one of us. Oh, you're not one of us now. So you didn't do enough to bring the Republicans over. You didn't do enough to bring Democrats over. You just muddied the water and made things worse. If you're going to play the I'm really Republican game, you can do that. But you can't be for transgender operations in prisons if you're going to play I'm really Republican game. So she didn't play that game. You can't play that. You got to go, no, all wrong. You can't play that we're going to give illegal immigrants driver's license. You can't play that game and go, I'm really Republican. It doesn't work. You got to do one or the other. And she's doing this. All this is done poorly.
Can contribute to the decisions that I make about, for example, my plan for increasing the supply of housing in America and bringing down the cost of housing, addressing the issue of small businesses, which is about working with the private sector to bring more capital and access to capital to our small business leaders, including my plan for a $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers and for small businesses, extending the tax deduction from $5,000 to $50,000.
We've heard a lot about those plans in recent days. Your campaign slogan is a new way forward, and it's time to turn the page.
Yep.
You've been vice president for 3.5 years. So what are you turning the page from?
Well, first of all, turning the page from the last decade.
The last decade. Now, the last decade, which is 10 years. Of the last 10 years, 4 of those years were with Donald Trump. 6 were with Biden. Yes, Obama and Biden. So really, Biden. Yes, we're with Obama and Biden. You sure you want to go that road? You sure want to do that?
In which we've been burdened with the kind of rhetoric coming from Donald Trump that has been designed and implemented to divide our country.
Yes. You know what's funny is Democrats never divide. Only Republicans do. In fact, not even only Republicans, because there are some good Republicans, the good Republicans, those are the ones who support her. But the bad Republicans, the Trump Republicans, and they're the ones who divide. Nobody else divides. Nobody else divides. So if you're a good Republican, you don't divide. Democrat, you don't divide. Do people actually buy this? And the answer is yes, they absolutely do. I wish they didn't. I wish they would get that. Everyone's divisive. That's where we are now. There was one guy who wasn't divisive. His name was RFK Jr. He wasn't divisive, and they got rid of him. And now, all of a sudden, we got 2 people divisive.
And have Americans literally point fingers at each other. Rhetoric and an approach to leadership that suggests that the strength of a leader is based on who you beat down instead of what we all know. The strength of leadership is based on who you lift up. The strength of an American president, which is one who understands that the vast majority of us have more in common than what separates us.
That is more than 70% of people.
That is about turning the page on rhetoric that
he was ready for this too, and you're not ready for this. Like, why are you not ready for this?
People are frankly exhausted of, Brett.
More than 70% of people tell the country is on the wrong track. They say the country is on the wrong track. If it's on the wrong track, that track follows 3.5 years of you being vice president and president.
Now, here's the issue. She has already accepted his premise that it's her administration, that she was in charge. So how can you get around this now? You shouldn't have accepted the premise. But you did now. So how do you get around this one? It has to be on communication. You must fall on your sword with communication. It's the only way around this. Otherwise, there's nothing, right? Because you didn't fall on your sword. You didn't say what I told you to say, which is, you know what? Biden and I were together, and I tried to get things done. I couldn't get everything done. It's still a Biden administration. My mission will start in January. You know, I'm proud of this aspect we got through. Some things I couldn't get to. I couldn't convince Joe of everything, blah, blah, blah. But this time I can. I'm going to turn the page, you know, and now we'll have a brand new this, that, whatever, right? You could have done that. She didn't do that. Now what do? You've got to fall back to communication. We haven't been good enough at communicating. We've made errors in our communication. That's what I'm working on now. That's why I'm here with you, Brett, so I can communicate better and show the American people, blah, blah, blah. That's the only way you get around this. And that's not strong. You just survive that question with a communication acceptance. But even that's still a mea culpa. And she won't do that well.
Biden being president. That is what they're saying, 79% of them. Why are they saying that? If you're turning the page, you've been in office for 3.5 years.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
Madam Vice President.
And then, of course, as soon as things don't go her way, she goes, come on, we know why, because she spends so much of her time. And I've had this happen to me. You spend so much of your time around a certain type of people who believe a certain way that you struggle to communicate with them because you assume that you all think the same way. I've had it happen too. I hang around libertarians a lot, thinking everyone thinks the same way, and they don't. And she can't even handle it. It's a terrible way of dealing with it. Come on, we all know this. No, absolutely. So let me grab a couple of super chats, guys. Thank you for super chats. I appreciate it. Lunatic Libertarian, thank you for $2. Kamala has her engine timing regressed. I like that. That's good. Also $2. No matter who wins, we're screwed. Yeah, we've got to fix this system. If the system doesn't get fixed, I think you're right. The system has to get fixed. I agree with you. We've got to fix the system. And that's the issue that we struggle with, right? We do struggle with not fixing the system. It's a problem. Guys, click that like button if you haven't already. Follow me on Twitter and Facebook or X. If you haven't subscribed on YouTube, why not? Please subscribe or follow me on Twitter, follow me on Facebook, whatever case may be, do that. You can super chat as you just saw them do if you're on Larry Sharpe YouTube. Also, you can remember if you like to. You can always do that at $49 per month so I can keep doing more and more of this. So let me see if I can grab a couple more of these. Let's see. Wow, so many of these. I love this. Mr. Belay, the doctor himself. Dr. Belay, thank you for being part of this. Larry, most disenfranchised who are voting for Trump are really libertarians. The National LP will screw the pooch in this election cycle. You're not going to hear me disagree with that at all. You know who I wanted to. You know who I wanted. Yes, I completely agree. I'm with you on that one. And I think there are a lot of libertarians who are actually going Trump this time. I think it's true. I wish more might think other ways, but you're still correct. I think that's an accurate statement. Yes. Joel says, these 16 Nobel laureates, what field Nobel laureates, what field are they in? Poetry? Maybe. She doesn't say, does she? Good question. Rhetoric is here. How are you, sir? Good evening, y'all. Good evening. I'm glad you're in. I'm glad to see you here. That's amazing. All righty.
To know what I'm talking about. You and I both know what I'm talking about.
I actually don't. What are you talking about?
What I'm talking about is that over the last decade, people have become, but listen, over the last decade, it is clear to me, and certainly the Republicans who are on stage with me, the former chief of staff to the president, Donald Trump, former defense secretaries, national security advisor, and his vice president, one, that he is unfit to serve, that he is unstable, that he is dangerous, and that people are exhausted.
Wait a minute. I thought we didn't want negative rhetoric. Hold on. Something must go on because that would be negative rhetoric now.
With someone who professes to be a leader who spends full time demeaning and engaging in personal grievances and it being about him instead of the American people. People are tired of that.
If that's the case, why is half the country supporting him? Why is he beating you in a lot of swing states? Why, if he's as bad as you say, that half of this country is now supporting this person who...
Now, again, the way you get around that is you fall on your sword on communication. That's how you get around it. You fall on your sword on communication. We haven't communicated well. It's not a great answer. It's the best you got when you're stuck like this. When you've fallen down and you in your hole, just stop digging, right? You can stop digging. You're already in a hole by just going, we didn't communicate well, blah, blah, blah. At least at that point, you don't go any deeper down in the hole. Grab a couple of these. They'd vote for a glass of water with the D written on it. Nancy Pelosi. Yes. She's not wrong. And you're not wrong. 100%. Yes. Shelly, I didn't hear this rumor. The rumor is that she ignored her team and they quit because who wants to be associated with this train wreck? I haven't heard that, but that's believable. And it shouldn't be, right? Like that should not be believable. But yeah, that's actually believable. I could see that. Kim, thank you for being a member. I do appreciate the membership so much. She has the fever because there's a plan taking shape if she loses. She knows or she thinks she's getting to office no matter what people want. Just my suspicion. Let me touch that piece. I think she does have a sense of entitlement. Why do I say that? If you notice, her defenses against anything are always establishment. Everything, well, the establishment says, these people say. She's all about the system and the establishment says this. Therefore, I'm correct. She doesn't talk about the people at all. She doesn't say the people agree, the people like, the people do. Never. She always talks about the idea of, the establishment agrees with me, therefore I'm correct, right? That's not the right way of doing it in an election. In an election, the establishment isn't as critical as the voter. So, yeah.
Could be the 47th president of the United States. Why is that happening?
This is an election for president of the United States. It's not supposed to be easy.
I know.
Does that answer the question? Not supposed to be easy. It has been easy for certain presidents. Bill Clinton did it pretty easily. Barack Obama, pretty easily. I mean, it can be done. Reagan, super, once the third time, super easily, both times. I don't know. It can be done easily.
No, but
It's not supposed to be. It is not supposed to be a cakewalk.
So are they misguided, the 50%?
Listen,
are they stupid? What is
God,
it?
I would never say that about the American people.
Yeah, I would just think it and tell my other friends, but I would never say that.
Well, and in fact, if you listen to Donald Trump, if you watch any of his rallies, he's the one who tends to demean and belittle and diminish the American people. He's the one who talks about an enemy within, an enemy within, talking about the American people, suggesting he would turn the American military on the American people.
We asked that question to the former president today.
Brett was ready for that one too. He was like ready for all of them. He's like, no. Brett was more prepared than she was. Like Brett knew, and she just fell into every trap. This is just a bad showing for her.
Harris Faulkner had a town hall, and this is how he responded.
I heard about that. They were saying I was like threatening. I'm not threatening anybody. They're the ones doing the threatening. They do phony investigations. I've been investigated more than Alphonse Capone. He was the greatest gangster. No, it's true. No, but think of it. It's called weaponization of government.
Now see what a better candidate he is than them. She could never have done it off the cuff. Right now, he might not have done it off the cuff. He might have his team give him that joke. Who knows? He might have done that joke before. I don't know. But the point is, he can do that stuff. That's a better candidate. To be fair, Biden was pretty good at it too, right? Again, not recently because he's lost a lot of his step. Obama's okay at that. Obama is amazing off of a teleprompter. I mean, untouchable off a teleprompter. Off the cuff, not bad. Not as good as Trump is off the cuff. Clinton is the best. Clinton's better than Trump off the cuff. Better than Trump off the cuff. That guy will tell a story about his dog out in Arkansas, whatever. Great off the cuff. These are better candidates. Harris is not even in any of their leagues. This isn't. Reagan, of course, amazing off the cuff. Amazing off the cuff. Even George W. Bush. HW was W. Bush at least could be like folksy off, right? He could just be folksy, a little chilly, a little dumb, do some dancing and stuff. Even he could do something off the cuff. Harris is just not in the league of any of these people. She's not that good at this.
Terrible thing.
So,
Brett, I'm sorry, and with all due respect, that clip was not what he has been saying about the enemy within that he has repeated when he's speaking about the American people. That's not what you just showed.
well, he was asked about that specific.
No, that's not what you just showed. In all fairness and respect to you,
that was the question that we asked him.
You didn't show that, and here's the bottom line. He has repeated it many times, and you and I both know that. And you and I both know that he has talked about turning the American military on the American people. He has talked about going after people who are engaged in peaceful protest. He has talked about locking people up because they disagree with him. This is a democracy. And in a democracy,
we will not have a primary. You understand that? In a democracy, I will get voted. Wait, I didn't get voted. In a democracy, we will care about East. Oh, we won't. I can't believe she said it's a democracy.
President of the United States in the United States of America should be willing to be able to handle criticism without saying he'd lock people up for doing it. And this is what is at stake, which is why you have some.
It isn't working. This anger isn't working because it's hypocritical. Right? It's not
like
working.
The former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff saying what Mark Milley has said.
If you're going to be angry about something like that, you can show anger. You can. But you've got to show anger about a specific thing that pisses you off, not I'm mad at him. Right? So she could have said, he did this thing, and this thing was terrible, and that's blah, blah, blah. Yes, she could have done that. But you can't show anger at, why don't people realize how bad he is? It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Kinsugi says it, right? I ain't buying what she's selling. Yes, it's not that. It has to be, he did this thing and I'm mad at him for this thing because somebody was hurt. That can work. People can see that and then connect. You can't just go, he's a bad guy, so I'm angry. And that's what she's doing. That's not working. Rocket Market Dimension says both Clintons are divisive. It's true, but Clinton wasn't. I'm sorry, Bill Clinton. I'm sorry, I go hit Hillary. And for those who remember the story, the true story, back in 2008, when Hillary Clinton was running the primary against Obama, I knew some of the Hillary people. And one of them I had a chat with. And I said, you got to convince her to stop using Hillary. And he's like, why? You got to convince her to go Clinton. She's a Clinton. It's fine. Go Clinton and not Hillary. He's like, no. You know, she's proud. I said, I know, but you want to make it easy for people to vote for you. So don't go Clinton. Don't go Hillary. Put Clinton. It'll make a lot of Democrats who loved Bill Clinton, because Bill Clinton wasn't divisive back in the day. He wasn't. It'll make them feel like nostalgic for the Clinton years. And you'll get more people who want that, and they'll go back and they'll vote for Hillary because they're voting for a Clinton. They're putting Bill back in the house. They're putting Bill back in the house. They're doing that. They didn't listen to me. And Obama won that primary. That's 2008. So yes, Hillary's divisive. Bill wasn't. I don't know if you were around in 92, but he wasn't in 92. He was actually like the cool guy who was, playing his saxophone on TV. I mean, he wasn't that bad at all. So yes. So, all righty. Space Jason from Rumble says, didn't Trump specifically refrain from using the National Guard against the 2020 rioters? Democrats act as if he wasn't already president with the record. Yeah. Look, do I like that the president says stuff like that, or the candidate says something? Yeah, of course not. But they all use violence against us, and they all would. Just being forward, they all would. I'm not so concerned about virtue signaling. Will they actually do it?
About Donald Trump being a threat to the United States of America.
He's quoted in the Bob Woodward book that way, yes. Let me ask you this, Madam Vice President. You call Donald Trump, you call Donald Trump, he's misguided. You say now
he's unstable. He is unstable, Brett.
He's not well. You say he's mentally not stable.
He's not stable.
Let me ask you this. You told many interviewers that Joe Biden was on his game, that ran around circles on his staff. When did you first notice that President Biden's mental faculties appeared diminished?
Now, when this happens, when you ask that question, you only have two ways around this question. There's only two ways. One, you say they're not diminished. That wasn't the reason. And you call it some other reason, whatever that is. They're not. They weren't diminished. They still aren't. The problem was whatever. And you make up some other reason why, right? Oh, he was on his meds, or he didn't sleep well, whatever, right? Oh, the age caught up to him, whatever. You make up some other thing, right? That's option one. Option two, you explain how you either missed it or were misled. Those are your two options. It's not true. Don't say that. And let me tell you what it actually is. Or two, this is how I missed it or I was misled. Either one works. She'll, of course, will do neither. Of course. Before I get there, Lunatic, thank you for $2. Accountability coming? Laughable. Her equals enemy. Yeah, no accountability. That's not going to happen. And here, my point is, those are your two answers, one or the other. Here's how I either missed it or was misled. Option one. Option two. That's not true, Brett. He's just as sharp as he's always been. It's some other thing that my team and I are going to have to make up to lie to you about. Either one of those are appropriate. You can't do what she's going to do.
Joe Biden, I have watched from the Oval Office to the Situation Room, and he has the judgment and the experience to do exactly what he has done in making
judgment and experience. We didn't ask the question. Now, she might actually believe that. Who knows? I don't know. But that's not what was asked.
Very important decisions on behalf of the American people.
There were no concerns raised?
Brett, Joe Biden is not on the ballot.
I understand.
And Donald Trump.
Now, you use Joe Biden not being on the ballot as a dodge. When again, I hate to say I'm so damn right. If you would have used that up front, It's not a dodge. It's as I've been telling you, Brett, he's not in the ballot. It's me now. Now it's not a dodge.
Donald Trump
But
is,
you talked about it.
and Donald Trump
Actor George Clooney said
and
within a
if
few
you
minutes of
watch
talking to President
Donald
Biden at a
Trump-
fundraiser that he thought this was not the same Joe Biden that we saw on the debate
Donald
stage.
Trump is on the ballot.
I understand. You met with him at least once a week for 3.5 years. You didn't have any concerns?
I think the American people have a concern about Donald Trump, which is why.
See, Trump is bad, Brett, okay? Trump's bad. This is terrible. Yes, this is terrible. You either say, this is how I missed it or was misled or whatever, or you go, he's great. What are you talking about? Oh, because he had to drop out? Yeah, here's the reason why he dropped out. Whatever. You either make that up or you don't.
By the people who know him best, including leaders of our national security community, have all spoken out.
Right back to establishment. This is not a winning
Even
answer.
people who worked for him in the Oval Office, worked with him in the Situation Room, and have said he is unfit and dangerous and should never be president of the United States again, including his former vice president, which is why the job was open for him to choose another running mate. So that is a fact. That is a fact.
Madam Vice President.
We're more screwed if the loony left throws us headlong into socialism. If Trump wins, he can hold it up for a while. Let's get a solid LP candidate. I'm with you. A solid LP will be awesome. The AC says, hey, maybe if Trump wins, he'll let you be his token allowed libertarian opposition in 2028. Every dictator ever. Maybe I'll get to be his opposition. Maybe it's possible. We'll see. It's possible. Maybe they'll throw me in there as that. It's always possible. Yeah, it could definitely happen. So yes, Nancy says, I think Stein is going to cut a decent path for third parties. She may hit 5%. That would be amazing. I don't think she's in a spot right now. Again, I'm saying without question, my view, I tell you this already, she should be throwing every dollar she has into Michigan. Every dollar into Michigan. But she won't. But she should throw every single dollar into Michigan. That's the keys. Absolutely. John says, Larry, excellent show. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. I really do. Thank you.
Two more things. You were asked on 60 Minutes about the biggest threat that the world faces, that the U.S. faces. This is what you said.
Which foreign country do you consider to be our greatest adversary?
I think there's an obvious one in mind, which is Iran. Iran has American blood on their hands, okay? This attack on Israel, 200 ballistic missiles.
Now, that's a problem. Iran has American blood in their hands. And then she talks about Israel. What? In case she doesn't know, Israel is not a part of America. And I go, well, there was Americans there. There's Americans all over. That's not enough of a reason to call Iran our number one enemy. Now, if you could still believe Iran's number one enemy because they might get, the bomb or something. Okay, that will be I could understand that. That's not what she said. They're our number one enemy because they attack Israel. That's why you're our number one enemy. You can say that's why you're one of our enemies. Okay, you attack our allies. I got it, yes. But number one.
What we need to do to ensure that Iran never achieves the ability to be a nuclear power, that is one of my highest priorities.
A number of experts thought you would say China. The FBI director had said that. But you said Iran. If that's the case, what do you say to critics who look at the actions of your administration and say you're not acting like Iran is the number one threat?
Well, I will tell.
Again, he says your administration, and she accepts. Right? You're saying that, and she accepts. The AC, thank you for being a member, my friend. Larry, you trounce this with easily if that's you on stage. Yeah, but the odds of letting me on stage are pretty slim. But yes, I do appreciate that. Yes, 100%. Jennifer says, I see an enemy within, but not the people. Very good. Yes, very good. Thank you for that one. I do appreciate that one.
Tell you most recently, whether it was in April or in October, and then several hours on each occasion that Iran posed a threat to Israel. I was there, most recently in the Situation Room, in the most recent attack, working with the heads of our military in doing what America must always do to defend and to support Israel in its.
At no point did she answer the question, and she went back to Israel. Look, I get you want to support allies. Okay, that's what America does. I'm not always happy about that, but I get it. But how is that make Iran our number one enemy? You're saying that Israel matters more than everybody else. Now, again, you might go, well, that's fine. You might agree with that, right? And many Republicans do. Okay. But you didn't say you're pretending to be a Republican sometimes, pretending to not be one others. You're making the further left part of your field unhappy constantly. This is not good. Like who are you going after? This is just, it's making everybody unhappy.
Requirement to defend itself and to give American support to be able to allow Israel to have the resources to defend itself against attack.
No, all she's talking about is Israel. He's saying our threat. Our threat. Us, thank you, says she called 18 to 24-year-olds stupid on a video and then took the video down. I remember that. So she did call us stupid. That's true. I mean, I'm only 23. So that was me, yeah.
Including from Iran and Iran's terrorist proxies in the region.
And then Shelley says, Barack Obama called a former black man stupid for supporting Trump last week. Yes. He didn't use the word stupid. Actually, he called him sexist. So he did call him that. And what bothers him about that is more black men voted for Hillary Clinton by percentage than probably every other demographic except maybe black women. So to call black men sexist for that, that's a low blow and wrong. There are other reasons they're not voting for Harris. It's not because she's a woman. That's not a thing. They voted for Hillary in droves. So the woman thing is not the issue. So that's not only, it's degrading, it's wrong, it's bad in every way. So agreed.
Right.
And that is, and my commitment to that is unyielding and unwavering.
Critics just say that you either relaxed or failed to enforce sanctions on Iran, allowing all of this money to flow into Iran, like billions.
Let's go back to Donald Trump, who pulled out of a deal that would have actually put Iran in check.
The estimates in billions.
It was during Donald Trump's
that
administration that Iran
regime,
that we had an American military base that was attacked, where American soldiers suffered.
Hold on. Brian brings up, it's Biden's DOD that just authorized use of lethal force by the military in support of civilian police. Yes, they all do it. So, yes. Never forget, Obama literally droned American citizens. Yes. So, yeah.
For traumatic brain injuries, and Donald Trump dismissed them as headaches, not to mention how Donald Trump has
all of this money
has treated and talked about America's military and military service people, calling them suckers and losers.
Hamas
has diminished the significance.
We're talking over each other. I apologize.
But you're not,
because you're not saying anything, right? You're not answering the question at all, right? You're just not saying. She's not answering the question. It becomes, yeah. Pickerbell says Hillary was way too much of a narcissist to lean to her husband's name rather than her own. Yes, and I think it cost her the presidency. I agree with you, Pickerbell. I think that cost her the presidency. I think she could have beaten Obama. I think Obama was beatable. I think he was. She wasn't the one who can do it. She's not good enough to do it. She gets in her own way, right? I think she was beatable for Trump. I think she could have beaten Trump. I think it was possible, but she got in her own way. Wouldn't campaign when she should have campaigned. Didn't change. Did that bastard deplorables things. She made lots of errors. I think Obama was beatable. She was not the right person. I think Trump was beatable. She wasn't the right person. So, yes. Garrett goes, actually, there was a recent order from the DOD that allowed lethal force on citizens now. Yes, correct. Absolutely.
I would like that we would have a conversation that is grounded in full assessment of the facts, which includes, I think this interview is supposed to be about the choices that your viewers should be presented about this election, and the contrast is important.
Yes, ma'am.
And on the subject of Iran, I am offering what should be an important contrast that is presented for folks to make a decision that they feel.
Who look at what the administration did and say and think differently. Madam Vice President, they're wrapping me very hard here. I hope you got to say what you wanted to say about Donald Trump. There are a lot of things
There's more to say. I have
there,
much
there
more to
are
say.
a lot
Oh,
of things
we know that.
people want to learn about you and your policies, and
Yes.
that's why we
I
invited
invite
you
everyone
here.
to go to kamalaharris.com, and you will see that I have 80 pages of policies that are quite comprehensive and should be accessible to anyone who would like to read them. And it includes what I intend to do about affordable housing, what I intend to do about small businesses, what I do
And that's why
intend
we
to do to
invited you
strengthen our
here
economy,
to see where you were in 2019 and where you are now.
support America's military and ensure we have the most lethal and best fighting force in the world.
Oh my God! Now she's okay. That's that was that, and you might go, "Wow, Larry, that was cringe." It was, and it was a failure. There's no doubt it was a failure. And here is the one piece I want to show you. I picked one. This was common. I mean, the most of the mainstream / left-leaning media was like, she did great. We're so proud of her. She stood up to Brett, and they used, I know Pinkerbell, I didn't say it, but they do. If you check this out, she stood up to that man. They were that way. They were using the mansplaining thing. They were doing it. The right was like, what a disaster. She's the worst. That's the end of the presidency. She's finished. It was exactly that. But the one I'm picking now, though, is, believe it or not, Breaking Points, which Breaking Points is not mainstream, but can be, but is not. But watch what you know who says for this one.
Federal law, and that is exactly what we will do.
That capped about what I would say 10 minutes or so on immigration.
He
It
started with
opened-
immigration and stayed there for a long time.
Yeah, it was, I would say it was about half, maybe, roughly,
Long
yeah,
jump,
something
she's
like
right.
that worth of the interview. So anyway, I mean, it's one of those where it was obvious that they were going into that. That's about the best that she's going to get. This whole, what did she say? It was like, well, that was 5 years ago. So that was certainly something I picked up on. I don't know. I mean, you and I have I usually, I think we come into this the same frame, but I don't, this one I'm mystified. You think she did very well. So
yes, she thinks she did very well. How? I mean, how can you think she did very well? She's gonna say.
You should make your case.
So let me say, first of all, to set up like the totality of the interview, Brett Baier, I don't think you would disagree, very aggressive in a way that.
So what? What was it not aggressive when Trump showed up at the National Association of Black Journalists? Remember that one? She starts with, you're a bad guy, cuz, 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 you're a bad guy, cuz. So why are you a bad guy? That was the first question to Trump. Yes. And I didn't give, Trump, you gotta be ready for that. ABC, you gotta be ready for this. You have to be ready for this.
He would never be with Trump. Not that he wouldn't ask Trump tough questions. I think he would.
Yeah.
But from the very first question, he's cutting her off, doesn't even let her finish a sentence. They're really going back and forth. We'll show you a moment later on where he really deceptively edited this.
He's being deceptive. This is cope. She's got a massive cope. Copium. She is just copium. This is embarrassingly bad, not even close to true.
Trump comments about enemy from within. So he clearly came into this thinking like Trump had called out Fox News for even doing this interview and put pressure on, obviously, Brett Baier in advance of like, you better really hold her feet to the fire. He's feeling the pressure of the Fox News audience. And it was very clear that his goal was like, I'm going to be aggressive and I'm going to try to really get her off balance. So, on like.
Yes, but you knew that. I'm not saying she's wrong on this. I'm saying it doesn't make it okay for Harris to be so bad. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying she's wrong. I'm saying, so you walked into Fox News. What did you think?
This question. There is no good answer here for her because she has changed her position
so dramatically
on any number of things.
Yeah.
And
so she's like, well, that's an unfair question. No, be ready for the answer, as I spoke about.
This is always going to be, the best she's come up with is like, my values haven't changed.
Right.
Here, I think she handles what is, again, effectively an impossible question for her to really be honest about, which the real answer is, politically in 2020, I was trying to run to the left of Bernie Sanders. Now, politically, I'm trying to like pivot and appeal to a general election audience.
But imagine if for a second, to Crystal's point, what if she actually said that? That would be a better answer than the garbage she did. If she had literally said, look, when I was running in 2020, I thought that was the right place to be. So I went down that road and I found out I'm wrong, right? When you're running, you should be running more. That's why look, I want to make changes for America. So yeah, I shift. Now people go, wow, she's actually saying she shifts. That would be better than the crap she did. And I gave you two better options. But even just saying what Crystal said would have been a better answer than what she did.
So my pandering strategies have changed. Like, that's the honest answer. She obviously can't give that answer.
Yes, you can. You could say that. You could say, I wanted to win because I believe so much in my policies. I believe that I could beat Joe. I didn't think he was going to be the best president, whatever. So I did what I thought was appropriate. I regret that. I probably shouldn't have done that. In fact, I shouldn't have done that. People are like, oh, okay. Huh. Imagine if she said that. Think about that. Imagine if she said that. That would be better than what she said was, oh, Trump bad or whatever she said. Of course. Rhetoric, thank you for the $18, my friend. I do appreciate the super chat. Thank you for all you do, Larry. Your insights, diligence, and the space you provide make the world a better place. Oh, thank you. Can't wait to hop back on the front lines for the next takeover attempt. Soon, brother. Soon. We'll be back. You know I can't stop running. I got to run again. I don't know what yet, but yes, we'll be back in the game. 100%. We're not done yet. We're not done yet. Absolutely.
So to just be like, listen, have I done any of that as vice president of the United States? No, I've enforced the law. That's what I'll do going forward. I think that's about the best you could do.
No.
My assessment of the overall interview is not that I like love every answer, because obviously I have many significant policy differences with Kamala Harris, in particular on immigration, and also they touched on Israel and Iran later on. And of course, the framing of
that was wild.
The framing of that from Brett Baer is basically like, why aren't you at war with Iran already? That's the framing of, that's not.
She said Iran was the number one enemy, and now she's blaming Brett on that one? No, this is copium.
Not unique.
Sagar is smug now because he knows this is his partner, so he can't hammer her. They work together, they're business partners, but he's like, no, I'm right. You're completely wrong. You're on cope. He knows she's
the Fox News. That was also the framing the debate. So it's not that I love the substance of her answers on a number of these, but she handled an adversarial interview that was very aggressive and at times actively dishonest, better than she handled the View ladies, which is kind of interesting, right?
No, okay, I'll stop. That's utter cope. That's embarrassing. And this was breaking points. Can you imagine what MSNBC was? Can you imagine what CNN was? Nothing, but she did great. She was wonderful. She was amazing. That's all it was from start to finish. On mainstream / left-leaning media. That's all it was. So yes, that's why I said what I said. They just loved it. Yes, absolutely. The AC says, thanks with agreeing with you, Larry. Yeah, when you agree with me, I agree. That's correct every time. Yes, 100%. Kitty says, Trump promised to put libertarians in his cabinet. Actually, forward, he promised to put a libertarian into his cabinet. I hope he will. It will not be me, though. But I hope he will. So yes. Kitty goes on to say, Michigan hates her. I'm from there. Yes, which is my point. I don't think she's going to do well in Michigan. I mean, she might win it still. It's possible. But it's not looking good. It's not looking good at all. So, all right, I'm going to grab a couple more of these if I can. All righty. So many. I do appreciate all of the comments, guys. You are just throwing them out at me. I do appreciate it. It is so good. All righty. Let's see if I can go down here. Jennifer says, Mark Cuban said the election is about entrepreneurs and small business. Is it though? I don't see that at all. I don't really. Got it. Penguin says Crystal is being fair in her critiques. All right. Again, not saying Crystal's wrong. I'm not saying she's wrong in that what Brett Baer did. He did 100%. What I'm saying is you have to expect that, right? You got to know that's happening and you got to have answers. And they can't be, I will follow the law. She did not do a good job. Her team did not do a good job. She looked bad. She looked bad. Now, if you want to say Brett Baer was not fair, true, no argument. But again, did you think he wasn't gonna? Right? These things are not fair. They aren't. when I would go on stuff, they would beat me up. They would ask me questions that they would never ask a Republican or Democrat, right? I'd go on as a libertarian and I have to be perfect. I have to have every answer for everything. Democrat, Republican, you just make up stuff and it's fine. Totally unfair. But I know that going in, which is why you see me go crazy with policy. These other guys don't have to have crazy policy. I have to have crazy policy. It's not fair at all. But I know that. And I go in knowing that and act accordingly. It is absolutely not fair. And she should have known that. You're going in, it's not fair. I get it. But you got to do it. Either way. Peace, Lodge. Thank you for being a member, my friend. Larry, I agree with your assessment with breaking points. I'd like Saga to speak up more. He did a decent job talking here. I mean, he was saying what he thought. He's like, I can't believe you think that. He looked at her like she was crazy. Like she was crazy. Yes. So, all righty. Sarah goes on to say, thank you again for being a member, Sarah. I'm finally believing that all our communication technology functions as propaganda control and distraction. So easy to control everyone with a pretend division and hate based on nothing, trash tech. Sarah, there is a movement for that, by the way. There's a movement to start getting rid of smartphones. It's happening everywhere. I forgot what they're called. Light phones, they're called light phones. They're phones that are basically they are phones, right? To do very minimal things. You're not always online anymore. There is a movement towards that. You're seeing that become more and more common. So yes. Mike says, told you this train wreck, Larry. Yes, you did. And the comment from Mike Cuban and many, Kamala understands English. And the comment from Mark Cuban and many, Harrison understands English. It's so insulting, yet the best they can muster out this. Yeah, I agree, right? They were pulling their own copium. This was a terrible showing by Harris. It was a terrible showing. She did not do well. She didn't gain people. She didn't gain anything. She made herself look bad. And I'm going to say, in my view, if I was on Harris's team, I'm saying you must go on Joe Rogan, take whatever he'll give you, just say yes, go. And prep, and fix this. Prep, like there's no tomorrow. Don't like 4 hours a day. Not even joking. Maybe 6, but at least 4 hours a day for 3 or 4 days straight. Prep this. Have someone who knows Joe Rogan, who knows what his team will do, and hammer her so she knows exactly what to do, exactly how to handle it, so she can deal with this thing well. I can't see any other answer, right? This is unless you're just going to hope Trump screws up. Now, Trump might screw up next week, but I don't want to hope Trump screws up, right? I want to go out and do something. So yes, Morgan says, if you can't handle adversarial media, how the F are you going to handle adversarial countries? Valid point. Yes. Pigman says, I'm not saying I agree with Crystal or that she's correct. I'm just saying she is fair in her critiques. That's usually true, Pigman. And this is why I was so surprised by this. This is what I often watch. I was just on Breaking Points. I was on the other piece, if you happen to see on Saturday, the one with James Lee. I was on that piece of Breaking Points. I think generally speaking, she tends to be pretty fair. She clearly leans left. No worries, not matter for that. Saga clearly leans right. Totally fine. But they tend to be pretty fair. I agree. This one, I don't know. I feel like her hatred of Fox and mainstream media, she does have an obvious hatred of it, obviously. I mean, I get it. If I was her, I'd hate it too. I think that is what colored her. How about that? I think that is what colored her. That's my view. I think that kind of did. So yes. So just my view. Maybe I'm wrong. So the AC says Crystal isn't a Harris partisan. She's becoming. A lot of people are. They are, right? If you look at Crystal and go back 6 months, maybe whatever, 8 months, whatever, she was a Marianne Williamson person. She was Marianne Williamson. And I think that those days are gone, right? Marianne Williamson is like completely pissed off the Democratic Party. I was with Marianne Williamson at the Independent National Convention in Denver about a month ago. She's not happy with them, and it's been open. She's open. I'm not talking out of turn here. She's really unhappy with the Democratic establishment as they screwed her over. And that's who I remember. Crystal and Saga were actually, not Saga, Crystal was behind. She was behind Marianne Williamson. She's not anymore. So where's she going to go? She hates Trump, not Republicans. She's going to be supporting Harris. She will be. She'll be supporting Harris. A lot of people who in theory, should be supporting, to be forward, many people like her should be supporting Jill Stein, policy-wise, right? Jill Stein is closer to her policies than Harris is. And it's not even close. Jill Stein's far closer. But she's not talking about Jill Stein. She's talking about Harris. And a lot of people who are on the internet left, who their policies are far closer to Stein's, they're not talking Stein. They're selling out and going back to Harris. Like most of them did. They sold out and went to Biden, right? In 2020. As soon as their further left people didn't get in, nah, gotta stop Trump, go to Biden. She's doing the same thing. They're all falling back into gotta stop Trump, go to Harris. They're all falling back into it. I don't see any way of them not doing it. That's what I think. So, yes. Kim, thank you for being a member. You mean, Larry, throw her to Rogan Wolves? No, I mean gamble because you're in trouble. You're in trouble. You got to gamble. If I'm on her team, throw her at Rogan. You got to gamble and hope you knock it out of the park, right? Her way, in my view, out of this is something great, whatever that would be. What will be better than having an amazing interview on Joe Rogan? Is that an easy task? No. Her words, though, this is not supposed to be easy. And I would agree. It's not supposed to be easy. I think you prep for this thing, you go into Rogan, try to knock it out of the park, and beat Trump at his own game. Trump is very good at these types of sit-downs now, right? He's gotten better. The guy who was the best was RFK Jr. RFK Jr. was amazing at all of these, right? That's like his thing, the long-form podcast. You couldn't have beat Kennedy in that. He was killing it. Now Trump's gotten pretty good at it, particularly when it's the bro ones. He's good at that. He's been good at that. She's not. The thought process for everybody is she'll get crushed, she'll get destroyed. You've said it, throw it to the Rogan Wolves, right? If she goes there and knocks it out of the park, that could turn the whole week for her. That's why I'm saying gamble. If it's me, go there, prep, gamble. I think it seems to be the right answer. That's why I'm saying it. Not because I want to throw it to the wolves. I just think that's the right answer for her if she wants to win. I don't know if they don't listen to my show, but if they did, do that. Sarah, thank you for the $10. I appreciate the super chat. Division is worse than ever. Yes. Third parties have been cut down at the knees. Yes. What is our way forward? We don't know each other anymore. It was never perfect, but we used to interact more. Change. I am hoping tremendously that shows like this help. If you guys know this show, you see it in the chat. There are people from all different political sides on shows like this. It's why, look, I'm clearly libertarian, obviously. But I try my best to show respect to everybody and to give honest critiques, whether I agree with the individuals or not. And I try to show how the system actually works so that we can actually have conversations about how to fix things. I know I'm just one dude. I get it. But I hope the more we do this, the more people will copy me. And the more people will do it. We have to be able to chat with each other, right? We have to. And if we don't, you're right. Division keeps getting bad. You guys know Mike's a friend of mine. Mike's a conservative Republican. I'm a libertarian. We don't agree on everything. We don't. Doesn't matter. I still love him. Hasn't changed, right? So I think we need more people like this. You see me, I go on the leftist shows possible. I go on shows that are far left. I go on a show and we'll talk, right? Sometimes they'll be mad at me, sometimes they won't. I've been on the Vanguard, right? I've been on left shows. I've been on right shows too. Doesn't matter. I go on all of them because I want to make sure that we're chatting. We have to keep talking. And most of them will go, you know what? I'm okay. I will talk to Larry Sharpe because at least I can talk to him. I think you see that a lot. So yes, I go on Kim Iverson's show too. Absolutely. Yes. So I hope that makes sense at least. So yeah. Joel says, Poly market has Trump at 61, Harris 38. Yes. After this one, big bump. I'm telling you, she lost this thing. Trump's going to bump. The question is, will he also have the bump? Will he keep that bump through the next week? If he does, I think it's permanent. And that is my worry. My worry is this bump won't come down and they'll hold it for over a week. If he does, there's only like a little less than 3 weeks left. That could be the end. That's why I think the Rogan thing is the right answer. Dan thinks I'm wrong. Dan says, I don't think going on Joe Rogan will do any good. She has to have some substance of her own to prep. To prep, you have to have material. She has none. Somebody else has written all of this policy. I'm convinced. You're right. But what's the other option then? If you're supporting Harris, I know you're not, but if you were, and you're like, Harris, what do you ever do? Go back on CNN again? Go back on The View again? You got to throw something at you. Got to swing for the fences. A base hit doesn't work, right? You got 2 on, you're down by 2. Got to go over the fence. Doesn't go over the fence. It's not going to work. So I really think she kind of has to, right? This is my view. Look, maybe I'm wrong. The AC, I subscribe to Crystal Substack. She prefers Harris to Trump. Yep. But she also supports not having to flee the country. Yeah. But I'm about changing the system. So if I'm leaning left and I'm scared, I would rather support Stein winning in Michigan. That would be my piece. If I lean left and I want to change the system, I would support that. So do you see my point? I get what you're talking about. I just think that's where I would go. So that's all I'm saying. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I think that's where I would go. I can't see any other way to do that. Sarah says, Larry and Mike agree on civility, unity, and truth. That's true. That's how you work to solve problems. It's accurate. I think that's true. 100%. Yes. Angie says, Larry, please an episode on a Trump interview with Patrick Bet-David. It was awesome. I was planning on not voting for Trump until I saw the interview. Patrick is so smart. I know. I was on his show. I know Patrick. Again, I go on Patrick's show, and he's clearly more right-leaning than left. I mean, not even close. Clearly. I completely agree with you. And I think that, all right, I will look at that. I will check that interview out and see if I should do one on him too. I'll see what I can do. Patrick Bet-David is a smart guy, no doubt. He is. And he has his own views completely. So, yeah, 100%. Michael says, Rogan podcast decides the election. Maybe. Could be. Grace, I still think there are a lot of undecided. I agree. Harrod needs to go on Rogan. A lot of undecideds are in that Joe Rogan middle America average Joe demographic. You're right. Yes, 2 pieces I'll bring up. Number 1, there are a lot of undecided compared to what's required, right? This election will be decided by less than 100,000 people, maybe less than 50,000. So Joe Rogan getting 12 million viewers or whatever he gets, the tens of millions, whatever he gets now, 50,000 is in there, and a lot of them don't vote. You're right, Grace. A lot of them don't vote. Right? I tell this story often, but this is how I know this. When I ran in 2018, I was on Rogan, and within a month, a couple of weeks, I was also on Dave Rubin's show. Dave Rubin's show is a lot smaller, is now and was then a lot smaller than Joe Rogan's. So I went on Joe Rogan's show. When I came back, a lot of my social media had exploded. Right? I had a lot more people on YouTube, a lot more people on Facebook. All that had gone up. But actual donations, not a massive influx. Not. I go on Dave Rubin, much smaller show. My social media increased a little bit. Not great. But boy, did money come in. I made far more donations off of Dave Rubin. I mean, far more than Joe Rogan. Even the numbers were way higher on Joe Rogan. The audience is different. The audience in Joe Rogan is a lot of young guys who don't really care about politics. So they were like, oh, Larry's a cool guy, whatever, next. But the Dave Rubin people were like, oh, I like this guy. I'm going to support this guy because they're older. They vote, they support. I got checks. So things changed tremendously in that regard. So that's why I think Rogan, to your point, Grace, a lot of people aren't going to vote. A lot of Rogan listeners aren't going to vote. And then they see whoever, Harris, or they see Trump, and they go, oh, I think I'm going to go vote. All of a sudden, you get those voters. You get 5,000 voters in Pennsylvania. That could be the election. I agree with you completely, Grace. I think you're totally right. That absolutely could happen. Yes. Peace, lies. Thank you for the $5. Thank you for another good show, Larry. Harris and Rogan. Can't wait. Let's see if it actually happens. Guys, I'll ask you one more time. Please do me a favor. Click the button known as like. If you haven't already, I don't know why you haven't. Please do so. If you're watching on Twitter or Facebook, please retweet this, repost this, share this. If you haven't subscribed on either on YouTube or you haven't followed me on Facebook, wherever you're watching on, click that subscribe button, whatever the case may be. Please do so. It does matter. If you feel like you want me to keep doing this and you're going to keep being on board, please click that join button on Larry Sharpe YouTube. Become a member. $5 a month. Keeps me going more and more of this. I keep trying to give good stuff to the best of my ability. I hope you're enjoying it. I'm trying to give inside baseball so that other people just won't give, right? There is many, many ways that people do things like say, I'm going to give you my bit, and it's my bit on left or right a Republican, a Democrat, whatever. I try to give you stuff that doesn't matter. Whether you like it or not, whether you agree or not, you'll see how stuff works. And you'll see what people are thinking. And you can look behind the curtain and go, that's why I felt that way. That's why I believe this. And it's also a place you see it in the chat. In the chat, people talk about things they care about. It goes back and forth in the chat. People who are left, people who are right, people who are libertarian, people who are not. You see it go back and forth. And I really hope that's providing some value. And if it is, please become a member if you can. It makes things a whole lot easier for us, and we can spend more time doing more work here versus someplace else. Last piece I'll ask you, once this is over, please come back and leave a comment. Every comment makes you know who happy. Mr. Rhythm, Al Gore Rhythm. He loves the comments after it's over, so please do that. I'll be back on tomorrow. I won't be doing that. Maybe I will. I'll figure out what I'll be doing. I'll be doing something tomorrow at 7 p.m. I will see you all